peaceful now at the flat. All is peace and quiet. No more drunken rantings, no more passionate sex. It has been 2 weeks now since the split. She'd been okay for 4 days. We'd been to the pub twice over the weekend, drinking with my friends. On Sunday night she had posed for some photos in her black catsuit and bowler hat. And on Monday we had fucked in the bath. Then on Tuesday evening she was preparing the meal. I was on the telephone trying to sort out a problem I had. I went through to the kitchen to tell her about the phone call, and then, after asking me to stay in the kitchen and talk to her, she suddenly turned. She had told me I didn't have to worry about her anymore, that she was okay now. All I said was that she hadn't been the week before, when without warning she yelled at me to get out of her kitchen. I tried to reason with her, but she just screamed, "Get away from me!" I did. I went back into the living room and sat down. A while later, after much banging about in the kitchen, she came through. I tried to talk, but she said if I wanted to talk about drink, because that's all I ever talked about. Sure, I've been trying to get her to cut down, but then it's pretty hard watching the woman you love more than anything in the world slowly drinking herself to death. Later she gave me my meal, but still wouldn't talk. Then she told me our relationship was over. She couldn't handle it anymore. I had driven her away. I packed my things and went to the front door. It was pouring with rain. I went back inside and asked if I could stay the night and leave in the morning. She said okay. Even joked, "I hope it's dry in the morning." I thought everything was going to be all right. But then she turned again. Asked me who I thought I was dealing with. When I said some drunk, that was it. She told me to get out of her house. I did. I went to the pub, taking my bag with me. It was just after 10:15 p.m. The next morning I tried to ring her several times, but there was no reply. In the afternoon, I bought some red roses, her favourite flowers, and took them round the house. I let myself in with my key. All the curtains were drawn. Her half-eaten dinner was still on the tray, and her bed hadn't been slept in. More strangely, the photo of her and her ex, the guy she said she hated and who had been giving her so much trouble, had been stood up, and her door keys were on the living room table. I remembered she was out of booze when I had left, and wondered if she had rung him, found out he had some and had gone round there. But why were her door keys on the table and the door obviously left unlocked? I was worried. For the rest of the day I tried to ring her daughter, but without success. When I got back from the pub that night, I even rang him and asked if she was there. He said, "I don't know what you mean," but he was a lying bastard anyway. On Friday night I finally got through her daughter, who said she was back with him. On Sunday morning she rang me from her daughter's, said she wanted her book so she could get her money. She was feeling too rough to come and get it though, said she would ring again later. On Monday morning she did. Said her daughter would come round at 6 p.m. and get her stuff. She didn't. At 6:30 I rang her and said her daughter hadn't been. She was back at home. She said she would come round in the morning and get her book. When I rang her at 11:30 a.m. she said she wouldn't, but her daughter would be round that afternoon. Knowing how reliable her daughter was, I put the book for her to get her money in the post, first class. As I guessed, her daughter didn't come. But on Wednesday at 6 p.m. she rang and asked if her mother still wanted her stuff collected. I told her I sent the book back, but that everything else was still here. She told me she'd ring her mother and then get back to me. She didn't. At 7 p.m. her mother rang. She was drunk and demanded herself, right sharp. I told her her daughter had rung and asked if she had rung her. She said no, adding, "I don't make arrangements with no one, you know me." Then she put the phone down. 5 minutes later she rang again. I asked what she was ringing for, and she said 5. I asked her again what she was ringing for, and again she replied 5, adding that it was a joke. 4, 5. She also said she was back with her ex. I couldn't make out much more of the conversation, except that I was a little cunt and a prat. And referring to letters I had sent her, she said, "You've got a lot to say for yourself, haven't you?" I told her she was drunk. She replied that she liked being pissed, and then put the phone down again. I rang a friend and arranged for him to come round the flat at 6 p.m. the next evening and help me take the stuff back to her house. When we got there, there was no sign of life. We knocked on the door, but there was no reply. We thought at first of leaving the stuff on the doorstep. Then, as I still had a key, we decided to leave it in the passage. After which I locked the door and put the key through the letterbox. At 11:30 p.m. the following night the phone rang. It was her. She asked who had brought her clothes back. When I said it was me and my friend, she started screaming drunken abuse. Wanted to know what I was doing go round her house. I said, "You wanted your stuff back, didn't you?" And added that there was no point relying on her fucking daughter. This made her even worse. She went on yelling about banging on the door when she was in bed. She said she wanted her key back. I said I put it through the letterbox. Obviously she was too drunk to have found it. Then he came on the phone, threatening me with violence. Said he kicked my head in if I went round again. I called him a fucking prat, and he replied that he'd make me more ugly than I already was. cunt couldn't perform the possible, yet alone the impossible. I slammed the phone down on him. All is calm and peaceful in the flat now, but something or someone is missing.